Good morning, everybody. We're getting things set up here. I see Chad and Dan and Matt out there, so glad you all could join us. And we're going to get started in just a second. So we're going to set the screens up, and we'll be rolling in just a second. All right, good morning. We are glad to see Chad and Dan and Matt out there, and we are going to record this training as well so that other SMEs can look at it at their leisure. We're here to chat about the new Resource Desk RAD applications review. Luckily, I don't think the review itself is going to change at all. It's just how you're going to get to it and how it's going to move through the system. So Felicia and I are going to spend some time this morning kind of walking you through that. So the most important thing to know is that pretty much we're done with the Access database and pretty much moving everything over to the Resource Desk. I know that there are a couple, or like 6 or 7, Felicia, that are still kind of working their way through the last piece of the Access database. But generally speaking, all the applications are now on the Resource Desk, and we have a bunch. And so we've been getting them since October, so there's some older ones in there, but hopefully this will move relatively quickly, and you guys can get kind of caught, quote unquote, caught back up and start issuing these suckers out. So what we're going to do now is we're going to show you a few things. First and foremost, what it's going to look like when you as a reviewer log in, and then kind of how that process works, moving it through the Resource Desk to CHAP issuance. So to set the stage, we've got an application that's come in, and so the first thing that happens on that is we have to do the threshold review. So I'm going to have Felicia log in as her. Just a second. Hold on, please. Let me see. And then I can do that over. Okay. All right, so Felicia's going to log in. So the Resource Desk sends us a notification that an application has come in, and so either Felicia or somebody else will log in to do the threshold review. Okay, so Felicia's logged in, and she's got a couple of applications here on her applications for review process. So she's just going to click on whichever one she clicks on. So we're looking at this one from Lexington, Kentucky, Connie R. Griffin. So a lot of these screens will look very familiar to everybody because they're straight from the Resource Desk. Straight from the Access database. We just moved them into the Resource Desk. So Felicia will go through and do her preliminary check to make sure that all the things that were required to be submitted have been submitted. So Felicia, go ahead and walk us through.
So for my threshold review, I would look at this application. All the fields need to be filled out. They have all the information that you're familiar with in the Access database. It's the same information that we asked for. They answer some questions here about multi-phase portfolio, many to one, those types of things. And then it'll trigger required documents at the bottom here. So I would make sure that they actually submit the documents that are needed in this category. I would open them up and look at them. And then some of them are embedded within the web page, such as this multi-phase worksheet. So I would check that. And then down here is where I do my review. And when if I need to contact the PHA, I would click this button. Otherwise, I would finish my review down here. And this is all good. And then when I'm satisfied, I would forward it to the SME by clicking this button here.
Perfect. So we're going to do that. So Felicia's now finished her review. Obviously, she's, the work has to be done, and we're just doing a demo, so we're not going to walk through every line item, and nothing's actually changed on the threshold review. As Felicia mentioned, she's looking at the various items that have been submitted by the PHA. They've answered some questions. They've uploaded some documents. the resource desk has told them which documents are required, and so she knows to look for those, and she can look through and make sure that they're there. So now she's forwarded along, and you'll notice that we've got a date that it was forwarded along to the SME for their review. Chad and Dan have given us by state who the SME reviewers are, so there'll be no reason why Dan or Chad will need to log in and push this forward, because basically what we've done is we've built the resource desk so that this transaction from Kentucky is going to go straight to the SME that is reviewing any Kentucky applications. So what we want to do now is log in as that SME, so we can all see what happens as this Lexington transaction moves through. So Felicia's going to log in as the Kentucky reviewer, and luckily it's Matt who's joining us today, so nice. So we'll be logging in as Matt. Okay, so once Matt logs in, Matt does a number of things, not the least of which is the application review. He also is the contact for some PHAs, and so he's got a couple of different things assigned to him. But you'll notice that there's a card now that's applications for review, and yes, indeed, the Connie Griffin transaction is now showing up there. So Felicia, take it from here.
So now Matt or the SME would go into this from that card there. They can see all the information at the top here, and here's where they do their actual review. So they put the date that they start the review, any comments that they want to put here in this box, that's just internal. This would be anything that would show up on the IH summary application. So this would be on the CHAP memo, same thing as the Access database, just a different view. And then if there's any CHAP conditions, they would go in this box. You can hit save if you're not complete. You know, if you want to stop and finish your review later, you can hit save and come back to it later. It will still remain on your main page. To see the CHAP summary memo, you would click this button here, Review CHAP Summary Memo. It's not quite ready yet, but it will be by the time this is on the live site. But it would look just like this CHAP summary memo that you're used to in the Access database. It will just show up when you click that button. Yeah,
this morning we had an issue. We were running through our last tests this morning, so unfortunately that button is not working this morning, but it'll be working this afternoon. So that will pull up, as Felicia just did, it'll pull up the same summary memo that you guys are used to seeing. Okay. You'll also notice that the Review Complete Forward Recommendation button is not colored where she can actually do it. So Felicia, you want to tell us why that is the case?
So see how it's grayed out and there's a little extra that's because you need to fill out all of the fields before you're able to actually click that button. So you see down here, we haven't filled out any of this yet. So you'll need to answer all of these questions, same ones that you were used to before. And then once you finish all of that, you hit save. And then you hit your recommendation ready for CHAP, and then you'll be able to click this.
So I think we have to put comments in, right? One of the things we were looking at this morning, you actually have to type some comments in the field.
So we can go through here and show that right now.
Yeah, so we're just demoing, so we don't really care
what
the answers to any of them are.
So I'm not actually reading what they're doing. Obviously, this is a made-up deal on the demo site, so obviously this overview here is not okay, but and then you hit save. We have our comments here, and then we have whatever comments we put here.
Again, this section that Felicia's in right now, this is the piece that you all have spent a lot of time, and I know giving a lot of guidance about what needs to be in here. So this is the same information that you'll be doing just like you did in the past. So this is a critical piece. You have to write the SME application summary has to be written up here so that it can flow through the memo properly, so that your senior management team can have all the various pieces that they need. And now that you see that Felicia's done all that and she saved things, now the review complete button is now available for her. So until you do all of the work, you're not going to be able to forward it along. So this, I think, is going to be a nice feature for you all to make sure that all the pieces that you need to have are in place. Okay, so Felicia's going to finish it off. She's going to hit the review complete button. So once that's done, you'll notice that we've got a date that it was forwarded and who it was forwarded by. So in this case, Matt was the SME. He went through and did the work. So now Dan and Chad will get an email saying that there's an application that's ready for their review in order to take it to the final stage. So what Felicia's going to do now is she's going to log out, but hold on, before she even does that, I see somebody's raised their hand. So we're going to go over and see what we've got over here. So let's unmute Chad and see what Chad has to say. Hold on.
So they have to enter a PIN.
Oh, Chad, you've got to enter in your little PIN. So we're going to resend that to you. Can you right-click on that, Felicia? We're going to resend your audio PIN. There we go. Sorry, Chad, you've got to do your little PIN guy to be able to speak. And if you're... All right, Chad, there we go. So we're going to unmute you now. Perfect.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right, I know you're struggling today, so we'll listen attentively.
Every day it's a little bit better. So I just wanted to note for the reviewers who are maybe watching this recording later on is that the one thing that's not in the system still is the field office comments. And so when they answer that question further down, we would answer it just like you would for the Access database. And you just have to go to that same SharePoint log where the field office capability comments are. So we're still using that same exact system. You would just go there and follow the same procedures we have now of if the comments are dated, you might want to check with the field office to make sure that they're current. And if there's no comments there, you want to get the field office to do that capability review right away.
Perfect. That's a great point, Chad. That's exactly right. Since you all already got that built out someplace else, that's going to stay there. So for the moment. So thanks for that. Absolutely. Good. Thank you. Okay, we'll mute you back and lower your hand for you. So thanks for that, Chad. Okay. So now we're going to log off. So Matt is finished with his review. He sent it along to Chad and Dan. So now we're going to log in as Dan and have Dan go in and do the final step here. So as I mentioned, Dan and Chad will both get an email that the SME review is complete. It doesn't matter which one of you guys go in, Dan and Chad, either one of you can go in and do this. It's going to have the same sort of thing. So you'll now see that at the bottom, you've got a application review process card now. And this is how you'll go and get to the request that you've gotten. So you can actually see, you guys can actually see where different things are. So you can see the applications that are in threshold review. You can see the ones that are with the SMEs. And you can see the ones that are kind of moving their way through. So here are the ones with the SMEs that reviews are complete. We must not have hit the save button, so we'll have to go back and
so it's under here.
Oh, it's under there. Okay.
Just part of
That's right. SME review complete. Yep, perfect. So now you see we've got a list of SME reviews complete, ready for CHAP approval. So we're going to click on that. And there we go. Click on that. And that takes us to your all's review. So Felicia.
So here you can see the same page that the SMEs had here. Whatever comments they had, the internal comments would be here too, as well as anything that they put on the rest of this. Same thing on the bottom.
And if you need to make any edits, Chad and Dan, you guys can make those in here.
Right, you're still able to
make changes.
Edit this and save.
You can edit those comments if they've written something that you'd rather kind of rephrase or something. You can always make that change. Or if you want to add oftentimes we know that either you or potentially Sarah or Sue might have chap conditions that the SME didn't write in that you all have decided now, since the review's finished, you want to write those in there. So that can all be added at this point in time, right?
Right.
Okay.
And the same thing, you'll be able to view this chap summary memo on your page as well. When you're finished with your review and you're ready for it to move on to Sarah and Sue, you would click this button that says Review Complete Forward Recommendation.
And Sarah and Sue will get their email telling them that this is now ready for their final review. And you'll notice that it'll give you a new date that it was forwarded and who it was approved by, so they can easily, when they log in, they'll easily see who's taking a look at that. Okay.
Right.
All right. So it's, you know, in my mind, it's that simple. It's just simply taking the questions and the forms that you've used in Access and move it to the resource desk with the additional functionality of the emails that you all will get regularly and forwarding within the same system. So, Felicia, can you get back to Dan's main page again? And so then Dan, you and Chad will be able to easily see in this review, application review processing card, where things are and kind of where they are in the process. So if we click on the so the PIH chap approval, so that's finished now, and we've sent it along, so it'll move into the next section, right? Yeah, that, which is not quite ready yet because we have to add the Sarah and Sue login pieces, but that will be ready for you all, for them to have, and then you'll be able to see where that is and follow along from there. Okay. So, Felicia, other things that you wanted to point out and share, tell anybody?
Just a reminder that this is not quite ready, but yeah, it will be under this new category. So they're not going to all be lumped together.
Right.
So you'll be able to easily see which ones you need to finish.
Right. So we're finishing up the programming this afternoon, and this should be live for you guys tomorrow, ready for you all to start working through the process. Obviously, there may be some hiccups here or there as we're moving through. So feel free to email the resource desk or email Felicia or myself directly, and we're happy to walk through anything you have. So we got a question. Looks like somebody's written something up here. Matt typed a question in, so let's take a look at that. Not sure what you're asking. You say are in the review. What are you asking us, Matt? Look at the questions thing and see if he's typing some more, a little more detail for me. Matt, can you give us a little bit more? Ah, here we go. Once logged in, how do we access those files? So let's go back to the SME review. So we'll show you. Yeah. So right now you're right, Matt. We're logged in as Dan and Chad, and they see a different set of screens than you guys as SMEs do. So let's log in as you, so that you can see exactly what your screen is going to look like. Okay, so when you scroll down, you'll see that you've got applications. So the applications for review. So if there were any in there for you to review, they would be there. Okay, so that's where you would go to find those. If you were looking for them, scroll back up, Felicia. So if you were looking for them because you were just interested in where they were, you could go up into the search box. And so let's go up there and search by state, Felicia. Let's go ahead and pull up the Kentucky. By field office. Here we go. So let's look at Kentucky. So since you've pushed it along, it's not showing up on your cards anymore. So let's hit the search. So then if you click on the Housing Authority of Lexington, I believe, if you just click on the name of it. Okay.
It's not going to show up unless it has a chat.
Ah, right. Okay. All right. So that's a good question, Matt. We should think about how to let you all see those even after they've been reviewed, so that once you push them through, you can still see them. That's a good thing we'll as a takeaway, Matt, so that you can see it, so you can still pull it up. Because right now, you're right. If it moves forward, you can't see it anymore. And so we want to make sure you guys can see it. So let's add that functionality. Okay. But if you've got one in review, that's where it's going to show up. That applications for review card is where it'll show up. So hopefully you won't have anything else to do. But at the moment we'll add that. Okay. Yes, I agree, Matt. We should show the application and process. So I think that's great. So we will do that. So Chad's made a comment, the field office directors would like it. I believe the field office directors have that main card that you're going to have, Chad. So I think you guys see that. The question is going to be the SMEs and how they see it. So we can definitely do that. All right. Other questions, comments? There's a question. Hold on. Sure. So let's go back out, Felicia, and assign another one to Matt. Matt's asking, could we show the clicks needed to view the application documents and the attachments?
Sure.
So let's go log in as somebody who has one. Did we push one to Isabel,
I can log
right?
in as
So log out.
myself.
That's fine. Let's log in as Isabel, because I think Isabel's got one that she's looking at, right?
Okay.
Okay, so she's got an application she's looking at, Washington Apartments. So let's show them how she can see stuff, Felicia. So there, scroll down. So we've got this piece here that they've uploaded already for us to review. So any place that they've uploaded a document is going to be in here. So let's log out and find one that actually has a bunch of documents. Of course, the one that I picked doesn't have any documents. Always the case. So scroll down to the. Sure, either way, doesn't make any difference. Pull up the Matt's deal he was looking at. Oh, we've pushed that through though, haven't we?
Yeah, we already pushed it through, so we need a new one.
Yep. There we go. Okay. So you see we've got the attachments here, section 4. So anywhere that they show up, that's where you'll be able to go and see those documents that are attached. Any other application documents that are embedded anywhere else will show up where they were. For example, we had the one that was showing up there where they uploaded some additional information. But that's where you'll be able to find that. Who's that one going to go to? Do you know?
Isabel.
Isabel, okay. There we go, Cascades. There we go. All right, so here's our screenshot. It's right embedded right where it's supposed to be. So, okay. All right, other questions, comments? Click over and open it up. All right. Okay. So thank you guys for participating with us. And like I said, if you're having questions or problems as we roll this out, let us know, and we're happy to chat through with you. Okay? All right, so we're going to post this, and so just so you guys know, and you can tell Chad and Dan and everybody, you can tell your staff that this will be up on the resource desk this afternoon as well, so other SMEs who couldn't call in today can see the review then. So thanks a lot, and look forward to getting this rolled out. Bye.